What if the reason people are pulling away isn't your age, your body, or your memory, but your habits? What if you've slowly become someone that people love, but don't want to be around? That sounds harsh, but stay with me. Imagine a mirror you've never looked into, one that reflects not your face, but the energy you give off. In the way you speak, move, dress, joke, complain. Now imagine this. People around you see that mirror every day, but you don't, because no one dares to show it to you. You're not broken, you're not failing, but maybe, just maybe, you've settled into habits that silently say, I've stopped trying. I've given up a little. I don't notice anymore. And people feel that, even if they never say it out loud. This video is your mirror, but a kind one. It won't judge you. It won't scold you. It will simply show you 12 habits that might be quietly damaging the very connections you care most about. And if you're willing to look, even just for a few minutes, you might rediscover something powerful. The ability to shift how people experience you and how you experience yourself at any age. Because it's never too late to be seen, respected, and loved for who you truly are. Let me make something clear right now. This video is not about making you feel guilty. It's not about criticizing how you live or making you question every word you say or every step you take. It's about giving you something most people never give to elders anymore. Honest feedback, delivered with care, wrapped in dignity, and meant to protect the part of you that still wants to be close, respected, and remembered for who you are, at your best. The habits we're about to explore aren't signs that you've failed. They're signs that you've lived long enough to accumulate patterns. Patterns that may have made sense years ago, but don't serve you now. Not in this faster, louder, more sensitive world. Not with grandchildren growing up in cultures you never imagined. Not when your presence matters more than your opinion. And the truth is, these habits aren't what make people pull away. It's the silence around them that does. Because when no one tells you that something you said was a little harsh, or that you've been wearing the same worn-out sweater all week, or that you've started interrupting every conversation, you assume everything's fine. Until one day you look around and realize people have drifted. You're not losing your worth, but you might be losing your awareness. And awareness is where all power begins. So, I want to make a promise to you. Over the next few minutes, we're going to walk through 12 very real, very common habits that many older adults fall into without even realizing it. We'll unpack each one not with blame, but with clarity. Not with shame, but with understanding. And most importantly, with practical ways to turn things around. Not in months, not even in weeks, but today, with one small shift at a time. By the end of this video, you'll not only see what's been quietly pushing others away, you'll also see exactly how to pull them closer again. Because you still can. You absolutely still can. His name is Walter, 74 years old. Yes, a retired literature teacher. Sharp mind, strong opinions, and once a deeply warm laugh that filled the room. He lost his wife 7 years ago. Since then, he's been living alone in a quiet, sun-dappled house at the edge of town. Books on every wall, photos of family on every shelf, and a kettle that always seemed to whistle a little too often, perhaps out of loneliness. At first, Walter didn't notice anything unusual. He still saw his daughter every Sunday. His son dropped by now and then. And his grandchildren, well, they were teenagers, busy, or so he told himself. But then the phone calls started to fade. The visits got shorter, the smiles thinner. There was always a reason: work, school, errands. But something inside him knew. Something had changed. It wasn't sudden. It never is. But over time, the silence got louder. One Sunday afternoon, Walter stood by the window, holding 2 cups of tea. He'd made one for his granddaughter, Ava, who was supposed to come over, but she didn't. No call, no message, just the quiet hum of the clock ticking behind him. That night, he sat in his favorite armchair, hands resting on his knees, eyes staring at nothing. And for the first time, he whispered aloud, "Did I do something wrong?" The question hung in the air like smoke. That's when he began to remember. The jokes he made at dinner that Ava didn't laugh at. The times he cut his son off mid-sentence. The moment his daughter gently pulled her child closer after he commented on her parenting. The clothes he kept wearing, the same old cardigan with coffee stains from last week. The way he always brought up his knee surgery. How every visit turned into a monologue, not a conversation. Not once had anyone said, "Dad, please stop." "Grandpa, that hurts." "Walter, you're pushing us away." But the message had come through anyway. Not in words, in distance. And that's when something remarkable happened. Walter didn't get angry. He didn't defend himself or fall into shame. He just sat still. And for the first time in a long time, he listened, not to others, but to himself. He looked around his house, at the books collecting dust, the fading curtains, the mirror in the hallway, untouched for weeks. And then the next morning, he shaved. He changed into a crisp, clean shirt. He brushed his thinning hair. He stood a little taller in front of the mirror and whispered, "I'm still here." That weekend, Ava showed up, opened stuff in his car. He didn't start with a joke. He asked about her life. He listened. He laughed, but only when she did first. He didn't bring up his arthritis. He told her about a robin that nested outside his window. And for the first time in months, she didn't check her phone. She stayed an hour longer. When she left, she hugged him genuinely and said, "Grandpa, I missed this." Walter smiled, not with pride, with peace. He didn't change everything overnight. "Why?" he began. One habit at a time, one conversation at a time. Because he finally realized being old isn't the problem, but becoming unaware is. And awareness, that is a choice. Why do these invisible habits form so easily after 60? And why do they stay hidden from us? There's a reason, and it's not because we've stopped caring. It's because aging changes how we perceive ourselves and how others interact with us. Let's begin with the brain. As we age, the prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain responsible for judgment, emotional regulation, and social behavior, gradually shrinks in volume. That's not a disease, that's normal aging. But what it means is this: we slowly lose the mental filter that once told us, maybe don't say that out loud, wait your turn, watch their reaction. The result? We become more impulsive with our words, less aware of how we're coming across. Not rude, not cruel, just slightly off. And we don't realize it. That's why you might find yourself making a blunt remark, or repeating the same complaint, or interrupting a conversation, and not understand why the room gets quiet afterward. It's not just the brain. Let's talk about energy. Older adults often face decreased dopamine and serotonin levels, which directly impact our mood, motivation, and ability to feel rewarded. That's why things like self-care, hygiene, or updating your wardrobe can suddenly feel like too much effort. Not because we don't value ourselves, but because the biological spark to do something about it fades. And here's where it gets even more subtle. When we don't get the same social reinforcement, smiles, compliments, affection, we start to feel invisible. And that sense of invisibility pushes us further into old patterns, comfort zones, and mental shortcuts. Then comes the loop. You stop dressing up, people treat you less warmly, you feel disconnected, you stop trying, they distance even more. It's not a character flaw. It's a biological and emotional spiral. But there's something else at play, something society rarely talks about. People stop giving honest feedback to the elderly. They think they're being kind. They don't want to hurt feelings. So when you speak too loudly or tell a joke that lands wrong or dominate the conversation, they stay silent. But emotionally, they start stepping back. This is especially true in family dynamics. Your adult children may still love you deeply, but that doesn't mean they feel emotionally safe around you. They learn to avoid topics, to keep visits short, to smile but not open up. And your grandchildren? They grow up in a world where mental health, inclusivity, and emotional intelligence are front and center. So when you say something dismissive or bring up how it was in your day, they might not challenge you. They'll just stop coming close. All of this creates a kind of silent isolation. You're still present, still wise, still needed, but slowly, gently pushed to the edge of the circle. Now here's the hopeful part. Awareness changes everything, not just in theory, neurologically. Studies from Harvard and Stanford show that when older adults engage in even small, intentional behaviors, like practicing empathy, listening more than speaking, or even making eye contact more often, it reactivates neural pathways related to connection and emotional regulation. In short, you can retrain your social muscles. Even after 70, even after 80, even after a lifetime of doing it another way. Because your brain doesn't stop learning. Your heart doesn't. And the people around you, they're waiting for a reason to come closer again. Just like Walter, it started with a clean shirt, a slower breath before speaking, a question instead of an opinion, and it changed the whole rhythm of his relationships. So no, this isn't about becoming someone else. It's about returning to the best parts of you, the parts that once made people feel safe, loved, and seen in your presence. They're still there. They just need to be dusted off. Let's go straight to the core. Here are 12 common habits that quietly build walls between you and the people you love, and more importantly, how to begin gently breaking them down one by one. It starts with something so simple it's often overlooked: personal hygiene. Not just showers and soap, but energy, attention, and intention. When you show up in clean clothes, brush your hair, and trim your nails, people feel your presence before you even speak. It tells them you still care. Not just about how you look, but about how they feel near you. And no, it doesn't mean dressing fancy. It just means clean, cared for, and fresh. Like someone who still honors their own space in the world. Next, let's talk about speech without a filter. You may feel like you've earned the right to say whatever you want, and maybe you have. But ask yourself this: what's more important, being right or being received? Instead of blurting, try this simple pause. Would I say this to someone I deeply admire? If not, maybe it's time to reshape it or release it. Even better, practice layering truth with kindness. Instead of, you've gained weight, try, you look different today. Are you feeling well? Small shift, big impact. Now, let's open your closet. Clothing that doesn't fit or flatters poorly sends an unconscious signal, I've stopped seeing myself. But a well-fitted shirt, a sturdy pair of shoes, and colors that lift your complexion? That's not fashion, that's self-respect in motion. Try this. Donate what hasn't been worn in 2 years. Buy one item that makes you stand taller. Wear it on an ordinary day. Then watch how people react. And now, conversation. If you often catch yourself dominating the room, it may be time to reclaim the forgotten art of listening. Practice letting others finish their thought. Hold your story until someone asks. And, most powerfully, ask questions that invite people into their own wisdom. How did that make you feel? What would you do differently next time? You'll notice something remarkable. The less you speak, the more people listen when you do. Let's shift to how we speak about younger generations. If you've ever said, kids these days don't know anything, you've already closed the door before the conversation even begins. Instead, open it. Try, tell me what school is like for you now. Or, what's the hardest part of growing up in today's world? They'll be shocked and honored to be heard without being judged. Now, let's address something subtle but powerful: modern etiquette. Being aware of volume in public, using headphones instead of blasting a video on your phone, respecting personal space in a line. These small acts say, I still care how I affect others. They reflect emotional presence. Start small. Next time you're out, take note of how others navigate space. Then match their rhythm, not because you're trying to fit in, but because you're choosing to be graceful in a world that desperately needs it. Now, on to medical talk. It's easy to default into organ recital mode, listing symptoms, surgery, side effects. But unless you're at the doctor or truly asked, it can drain the room. Instead, practice balance. And if you catch yourself talking about your arthritis again, shift gently. But you know what helped me this week? Sitting in the sun for 10 minutes. It lifted my whole mood. Show them you are more than your conditions. You're still experiencing life, not just enduring it. And now, the deepest one of all, stubborn beliefs. Not all traditions need to be updated. But when you hear yourself say, that's just how it is, pause. Ask yourself, do I want to protect this idea, or do I want to protect this connection? Because the moment you let curiosity lead, doors open, hearts soften, and you may even learn something that surprises you. You don't have to agree. But when you listen without needing to win, people feel safe enough to stay. Let's keep going. One quiet habit that slips in over time is walking or moving without spatial awareness. You might stop suddenly in the middle of a hallway, or stand with your cart blocking an aisle, or slowly drift into someone's path without realizing. The intention isn't rude, just unthinking. But the impact? It creates tension. And here's what most people won't say. They'll adjust once, twice, 3 times. Then they'll stop inviting you to go out altogether. So here's your new practice. Before stopping, glance around. Before turning, take a breath and check who's near. If you're in a line, give the person in front of you just a little more space. These tiny signals say, I'm still here with you, still aware, still choosing to make things easier, not harder, for the people around me. Let's shift to humor. A good laugh can be medicine. But when jokes come from outdated mindsets or lean too hard on sarcasm, stereotypes, or teasing, is they don't land the way they used to. They land as disconnection. If someone flinches or forces a laugh, take note. They're telling you something. Replace those old one-liners with self-awareness humor, telling stories that show your own quirks, moments that invite people to laugh with you, not at someone else. That kind of laughter, it heals, it bonds. It reminds everyone in the room that you're still growing, not stuck. Now, the habit that's easy to fall into, yet slowly erodes the strength others still see in you, acting helpless when you're not. It starts innocently. I can't figure this out. You do it better anyway. I'll probably mess it up. But over time, this erodes trust. People begin to feel like they're being used. Or worse, like you've quietly surrendered your independence without a fight. Here's the shift. Try first to struggle out loud. Laugh at your own confusion, then keep going. Whether it's learning how to use a new phone, reheating leftovers, or paying a bill online, every attempt builds your confidence and renews their respect. Because real strength at your age isn't about doing everything alone. It's about knowing when to ask for help and when to stand up and say, I've got this. Finally, one of the hardest habits to recognize in ourselves, always needing to be right. It's subtle. You correct someone's story. You finish their sentence the right way. You roll your eyes at a new method, a new belief, a new approach, and little by little, people stop opening up. But here's the truth that humbles all of us. Being right is never as powerful as being kind. Winning an argument is never as meaningful as winning someone's trust. The fix? Replace correction with curiosity. Instead of, that's not how it happened. It's interesting. Tell me more about how you remember it. Instead of, now this is the better way. Say, I've done it like this, but I'd love to see your approach too. You don't lose authority when you soften. You gain connection. And when you do speak with confidence, it lands deeper because you've earned the right to be heard, not just tolerated. Now, you might be wondering, how can I possibly remember all of these? Here's the answer. You don't need to master all 12 at once. You just need to choose one. One small shift. One new habit of awareness. One moment of pause before you speak. One intentional act of presence before you enter a room. And the ripple spreads fast. People start looking forward to seeing you. They lean in when you talk. They smile longer. They stay longer. And you feel it. That quiet return of respect, affection, closeness. Because you didn't change your age. You changed your energy. And in the end, that's what truly defines how others experience us. At any age, let's turn insight into movement. If you've stayed with us this far, I want to offer you something simple but powerful. Not a lecture, not a list, but a challenge. A quiet challenge that starts with just one day. Today. Before the sun sets, I invite you to choose one single shift from the 12 habits we explored. Just one. The one that made you pause. The one that stung a little. The one that made you think, maybe that's me. Write it down. Say it out loud, then turn it into action. If it's hygiene, maybe today you shower with fresh intention. Choose a shirt that feels good on your skin and look in the mirror, really look and say, I still matter. If it's interrupting others, maybe today you let your daughter finish her story even when you know the ending. You nod. You listen. You hold your thought like a gift and only offer it when she asks. If it's always needing to be right, maybe today you hear something that feels wrong, and instead of correcting, you smile gently and ask, what makes you feel that way? That's the challenge. Not to be perfect, but to be present. And here's where I want you to join me in something special. In the comments below, don't just say great video. I want to hear your choice. Which habit are you shifting? What moment today will you use to practice? What is one small thing you'll do differently? With intention, with grace, with self-awareness. You never know who might read your comment and feel less alone. You never know who might see your courage and say, if they can try, so can I. And if you're still not sure where to start, here's a nudge. Pause before you speak. That's it. Just pause. Breathe. Notice your tone, your intention, your audience. Then speak with warmth. Because often, what people remember is not what you said, but how you made them feel. And if you're ready for something even deeper, consider this. Invite someone close to you, your son, your neighbor, your friend, and ask them, what's something I do that you wish I'd see? Then just listen. Don't defend. Don't justify. Just receive. This might be hard, but it might be the moment that brings them back toward you. That's real strength. And it's the kind of strength that grows in quiet, honest spaces, like this one. So here's your next step. One small shift, one quiet act, and one bold comment to share what you're choosing to change. We're here, we're listening, and we're walking this with you. Picture this. An old oak tree, weathered. Its bark cracked, its branches uneven, its roots gripping the earth with quiet strength. It doesn't stand tall like it once did, but people stop when they pass it. They look up. They rest in its shade. They admire it not because it is perfect, but because it still stands, still gives, still riches. That tree is you. You've lived. You've lost. You've grown. And yes, maybe you've picked up a few habits along the way that no longer serve you. But here's the truth. None of those habits define your worth. What defines you is your willingness to look inward, to ask hard questions, to say maybe it's time to shift. That's not weakness. That's legacy. Because in a world where many people age by retreating, then you've chosen to stay awake, to stay kind, to stay teachable. In that choice echoes. Your children see it. Your neighbors feel it. Even strangers who meet your gaze in the grocery store sense it. There's a different kind of elder rising now. Not the kind who demands attention through volume, but who draws respect through presence. You become the one others feel safe with. The one who holds space without judgment. The one who reminds people of who they want to be simply by being fully yourself. And maybe the most beautiful part? It's never too late to become that version of you. Even now, in this very moment, you are rewriting what aging looks like. Not as decay, but as depth. Not as fading, but as blooming. You've traded the need to be right for the desire to connect. You've let go of habits that protected you but distanced others. You've stepped out of patterns that kept you safe and into presence that keeps you loved. So, as you close this video, remember, the most powerful transformation doesn't always look dramatic. It looks like one quiet decision made again and again until your presence becomes a gift. Let that be your new legacy. The elder who still laughs, still listens, still learns, and still inspired. Thank you for walking this path with us. If this message touched something in you, share it. Not just with others, but with the version of yourself that's still becoming. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, stand like that oak, rooted, soft, strutting.